Hey, welcome to the Huntsville Hustle podcast. We're going to highlight some of the local small business owners, kind of the backbone of the Rocket City. By the way, we're the Rocket City. I don't know if you guys have heard that. So, my guest today is my friend Amber James. She's on the show today because she's making a tremendous difference with her law firm, the New Beginnings Family Law Firm. So, Amber, thanks for coming on the show. We're glad to have you here.
Oh, Joe, thank you so much for having me on. I always enjoy when we get to talk.
I'm looking forward to more people need to know Amber James. I'm telling you, you tuned into the right one. So let's kind of take it back to the beginning of what made you pursue family law.
So I knew I was called into law to help hurting people, and I didn't really know what that meant initially. So I worked in a personal injury law firm while I was in law school because those are hurt people, right? They've been in accidents, they're hurt. It was miserable. I hated every minute of it after a while. Like I enjoyed the, initial excitement, but then kind of lost interest. Ended up going to work for Judge Ferguson in the domestic relations court in Jefferson County and finally saw the people that I felt called to help. People who are in divorce situations, their children hurt more than anybody that I can think of in a legal perspective. So it was kind of an instant like, oh my gosh, this is where I'm meant to be. And then have lived out some family law issues, unfortunately, in my life. And so that experience has just driven me to want to practice family law that much more.
You can tell it's kind of personal to you when you find out more about how you do things. So you can tell it's not just another job. You're not just showing up for a paycheck. It's definitely a calling for you. So,
Absolutely.
it's such an emotionally charged field. How do you stay motivated, stay coming up to work every day without it just beating you down?
Yeah. Well, I'm a person of faith. I know that God didn't bring me here to leave me here kind of thing. I know that if I'm still being successful in this field and in this realm, it's because I'm doing what God wants me to do. So I pray a lot. I do the things that rejuvenate me. I sing in my praise band at church, but then I just sing in the shower too. Like that's my rejuvenating activity. I work out. I do things like that help me kind of manage the stress of it. But I know it is my calling. And I think when you're doing the thing that is your calling, it makes it easy to come to work every day.
That's it. So, kind of on that same vein, was there kind of a defining moment or a case early in your career was like, okay, all right, God, you told me to be here, and then you gave me some proof. So, is there kind of where this is where I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be moment?
I've had a lot of proof over the course of my career. Like the first one though that I can recall was I was representing a set of grandparents whose son's rights were being terminated essentially by an adoption, and they had been great grandparents. They loved their grandchild. They wanted to stay in his life. And this adoption, if we had not intervened, would have ended that for them. And so we intervened in the adoption to set up some grandparent visitation for them so that they could maintain that relationship. They didn't try to stand in the way of the adoption. They just said, please let us still be grandparents. And so winning that and them having the ability to still see their grandchildren, that just meant the world to me. And then I've had, not long after that, I had a case where I represented 4 children in a juvenile court proceeding, and being there for them to advocate for them and to help them find homes where they could be loved and cared for in the way that they should be. That was just, another kind of defining moment early on. And like I said, there have been many, but those were the first 2 that I can remember early on in my career.
Oh yeah, nothing like keeping families together. I mean, there's nothing
Yes.
like that. So, I mean, just some of the things that what all do you offer underneath the family law kind of umbrella?
Sure. So we do everything from a prenuptial agreement all the way through adoptions and surrogacy if you're looking to grow your family and you're having some trouble doing that naturally, or you can't do that naturally. And then we do the things that are not necessarily always so happy, your divorces and custody proceedings. We represent parents in juvenile court proceedings, and sometimes we're appointed to represent children in those proceedings. So pretty much if it can put your family together or unfortunately take it apart, those are the kinds of cases that we work on.
So, kind of also along with that, so how do you balance empathy, which I know you're a very empathetic person, with the tough decisions your clients often face? How do you kind of balance that?
Sure. So I see my role as much as coach as attorney. My goal is to get you from point A to point B in a way that makes you a better person or puts you in a better spot in your life. Like divorce is an end of something, but just like our name says, it's also a new beginning. It's a new opportunity to have a life that's different than the one that you've been experiencing. And so there are times when I have to have some really tough conversations with clients. Like, you are playing a role in this. Like, I care about you and I want what's best for you, but I also need you to see the role you're playing in the conflict. And so it's from that perspective of empathy and wanting them to be a better person that I sometimes have to have those very direct and difficult conversations with clients.
Tough love is a real thing, right?
Yes,
I
it
mean,
is.
it's a real
I've had
thing.
plenty of tough love people in my life, so I try to impart some of that to others too.
That's it. That's one of those on the front end doesn't feel
Mhm.
good, but when you look back around, you're like, okay, all right, they were right. It wasn't much fun, but they know it had
No,
my best interest in mind. So.
Yes,
What's
exactly.
one of the biggest misconceptions people have about family law or even the attorneys in your field?
Sure. I think a lot of people think we're all in it for the money. Like if you look at all these Facebook groups and people are talking about family law attorneys and looking for recommendations, there'll always be one person who says, doesn't matter who you hire, they're just in it for the money. I can make money a lot of easier ways than being a family law attorney. I am not in it for the money. Does it cost money? Yes. And the more conflict there is, it costs more money because we come to work every day just like anybody else going to a job every day. But the majority of family law attorneys that you'll meet really are doing it because they care about their clients and they want what's best for them. And does it cost money? Yes, but that's not why we do it. If we were doing it for the money, like there's lots easier ways to make money. Well, not as many, sleepless nights and Sunday scaries about going to court. We could do a lot easier things than that. So
For sure. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, you got to be a calling. You got to be doing it for the right reason for sure. So, I mean,
yes.
running a law firm is not just practicing law. I mean, you're a small business too. I think people kind of forget about that. What's been the
Yes.
biggest surprise for you as a small business owner?
So you might find this very funny. It's that I owned a business. That was one of the biggest surprises for me as a small business owner. Like nobody told me that in law school. They didn't say they were like, you are lawyers and you have this profession and you're going to go practice it and it's going to be great. And nobody told you you're going to have to run payroll and manage people and hire and fire and deal with financial metrics. And we have none of those conversations in law school. So at some point, I realized I was running a business. It was about 2012. I was about 6 years in when I figured out, oh, I'm really running a business here. I need to run it like one. And so I think that a lot of young lawyers find that to be true. I think it's the same for doctors, dentists. You were taught this profession, this thing that you're going to go do to help people, but now you've also got to run a business too. And so that was really one of the biggest shocks for me is that I owned a business and I had to run it like one.
How about that? Yeah, I got a minor in business. Never thought a million years I would have a business. And if you looked at how I ran my business, that would be reflective of that. But I think like yourself, getting a coach is something huge. I mean, you need those fresh eyes and that the good perspective on there, and that's taking you to the next level, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, having a practice here in Huntsville, what's been one of the most rewarding parts about having your practice here in Huntsville?
Sure. Being part of what a growing community in a growing city. Like we have grown as Huntsville has grown. I remember being a kid and coming to Huntsville and it was the Madison Square Mall and there was not a whole lot of other things. But in the time that I've had my office here pretty much since 2008, so for the last 17 years or so, I've watched Huntsville blossom and we've had the opportunity to blossom with it. And that opportunity has given me the opportunity to then meet other small business owners, especially through the chamber, businesses I would have never had other contact with. I don't do a lot of missile defense work. I don't do any kind of contracting work. So getting to meet those people. So as Huntsville has grown, we have grown and just kind of being a symbiotic part of that relationship has been really great.
This is a cool place. I know
It
people
is.
complain about it. We're getting this new thing coming in, and people are talking about
Yeah.
traffic and all that. It's gonna
Yes.
be all right. It's
Yes.
gonna
We're
be
going to make
okay.
it. Yeah.
You're gonna meet some cool people. You may meet
Yeah.
your new best friend. Who knows? They may be
That's true.
involved in Space Command. Who knows? Uh, Kind of getting back to the business side of things. If you were to talk to someone and they say they're really good at something, it doesn't have to be law. It could just be something that they want to turn their expertise is into a thriving business. What advice would you give them?
Encourage them to sit down and think about how can I make this thing, into a product or a service that other people will want to purchase and sit down and come up with a business plan first. I practiced law and then I came up with a business plan later. Like I think about sometimes, how much more successful could we have been earlier on had we done that? I think a lot of us love what we do and we want to turn it into some sort of, you want to monetize it, but you've got to have a plan on how you're going to do that, and really look at it realistically. How am I going to grow organically? Or am I going to, bring on a coach to help me? Or am I going to, how am I going to market this? And, now with social media, I mean, you have some of the lowest price attention out there. You just got to set up your camera and start talking. And so I think you just come up with that business plan first and then open up that camera and start talking to people, from a social media perspective, get out and know people in the community. And that way you can also kind of bounce your ideas off of them and see how other people have done it.
Yeah, because you'd be surprised. People are really willing to help you out.
Yes,
I mean, especially in
absolutely.
this community around here, I've asked questions around people in my same profession, and they're very willing to share it and help out. And uh, you'll run into some that won't, but that's okay.
That's
You
right.
can ask
That's right.
them. But
Yeah, there's
yeah, I
plenty of
think
business to go around for all of us, so
absolutely, yeah,
better just to be
absolutely.
helpful.
Yeah, I think a good book is the E Myth. If you guys never read that, it's
Yes.
kind of talking about kind of being the technician.
Yes.
Because when you switch to the business owner, man, you trade your one half for about 50 of them. You gotta be ready.
Right.
You gotta be ready for that. So
Yes. Yeah, it's a big shift.
for sure, and we've all made that, and thankfully we're still here to live
Yes.
to tell the story. But I mean, we all have people help us along the way in our career. So is there someone in the Huntsville community who's played a huge role in helping you on your journey?
Well, I would have a hard time picking one person. Talking about that tough love perspective, Judge Billy Bell was the first person to issue me my first dose of tough love in a courtroom. And at the time, I was very hurt by it, but I went back and talked to him and just said, I need to understand from your perspective where I could have done this differently. And he ended up being one of my, favorite mentors along the way. He's prayed with me. He's no longer on the bench now. He's pops. If you see him, he hates it when you call him judge now, but he's always been there to, if I needed help, if I needed prayer, if I needed guidance, he was willing to do that. I've had friends like you along the way that I met through BNI years and years ago, that are such an important part of my life and a part of my business. And so I would be remiss if I didn't say that my friends that I've met along the way, like you, have been a huge part of that. All of my team is in the Huntsville area. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, the part that they play, because I can't do this by myself. It's a team effort. And then, there's been people now at this later stage in my career who have really walked alongside me, like you and my friend Brian, my coach Kevin, and people at the chamber. Ashley Engels Ross at the chamber has been huge in like going, all right, Amber, now you need to go try this. Like now go into this leadership role at the chamber that you might not have otherwise done. And then my good friend Joan Marie, who has helped me be able to speak at table in places that I never had an opening to be able to speak before. So, I can't just pick one. Like the Huntsville community has been really good to me over the course of the last, 18 years. And it's just been an amazing experience.
I get it. Hey, I get it. I mean, just like they talk about, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to have a successful business as well. So we all need that help. And if you guys don't know Billy Bell, you got to change that. He's
Yes.
the best. He's the
He's
best.
amazing. You just, from wearing the robe and being the judge to, kind of being I would call him a coach in a lot of ways, a mentor to so many people, and just the life he lived to where he is today. Like if you've never heard his story, it's definitely one that you want to hear.
It's powerful for sure. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you kind of talked about one of the hard lessons you learned from
Mhm.
not Judge Bell, Pops Bell. Now I guess it's hard to, but back when he was judge, that was a hard lesson. Was there any other hard lesson in your career that now you look at as a blessing?
I had a lot of hard lessons along the way from a business perspective, more so than a courtroom perspective. I would say one of the hard lessons I had to learn is that I had to hold people with an open hand. Like I couldn't, hold on to everybody who came to work with me, and that not everybody's goals are going to align with yours, and not everybody else's vision is going to align with yours. And so sometimes people are with you for their own reasons. Sometimes they're with you for a season, and there's going to be very few people who are going to walk the road with you all the way to the end. Learning to be okay with that, and being okay that not everybody shares my vision, and it's okay for them to have a vision that's different than mine. That was a big lesson, and it was a hard and painful lesson because I always wanted to hold on to all the people, and you can't do that because now that I hold them with an open hand, they're free. They feel more free to tell me their goals and their life ambitions, and then it gives me that opportunity to try to help them figure out how to meet their life goals and ambitions too. And that might mean they're with me for a season, and that's okay.
I like that visual, kind of have, with an open hand. That's a good way to put it. I like that. So, kind of getting back, if you were, we had kind of the generic one earlier. When here's, hey, I want to run a successful law firm. What's
Mhm.
one piece of advice you give somebody?
One piece of advice to run a successful law firm is to start from the beginning with setting out policies, systems, procedures, checklists, forms. To this day, I have a folder with probably 5,000 different versions of different forms in there. Had I started from the beginning with the idea that it was a business and it needed to have all these systems, it would have been it would have been successful faster. I could have taught people and delegated faster. So setting those things up from the beginning with a checklist on how you want a case done, what forms go with that, save those templates. It makes that process of adding new people to your team that much faster.
And systems and checklists are so valuable. I did not use them either when I started. I
Right.
don't know why either. I just didn't. I just not
Right.
how my brain works. I'm not very
Right.
organized. So,
Yeah,
oh
me
man.
too.
So if you're like that, and you're not organized. They will help you get organized very simply, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. You can just
Exactly.
just follow the checklist.
Yes,
All right,
exactly.
this exciting part right here, but I know you're
Okay.
very nervous for the rapid fire part. It's very
Ooh, yeah.
I know you can have I know more emotional drainage here. So,
Yeah,
all right,
yeah.
you coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Always the answer. That's the right answer every time. So,
Yes.
what's your favorite Huntsville restaurant?
Purveyor is my very favorite Huntsville restaurant.
They do a great job over there.
Oh,
So,
it's amazing.
what's one book that has impacted your business so much that you would read it again?
Probably Essentialism is one of my favorite books that has really impacted my business of knowing the things that you should do and the things that you should not do because you only get this one life. And so, how do we make the most of it? So that book has really had an impact on me.
I need to go back and read it. I read it a long time ago. I need to reread it. That's a good
Yes,
one.
it's
So,
amazing.
one word to describe your business journey so far.
Wild. It's been a wild journey.
That is a small business answer right there if I've heard one. What do you love to do when you're not in the office?
And when I'm not here, I really love to spend time with my kids. I have a 20-year-old and a 24-year-old. My big kid is about to head back to seminary. I enjoy talking to him. Like at this age, they were fun when they were little, and you really enjoyed all the stories they told. But now, when you're an adult and you're having adult conversations with your kids, my daughter and I have much deeper discussions now when she's 20. And you start seeing the things you taught them years ago when they thought, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. Now it all comes back, and now you're brilliant. So it makes great. So I enjoy spending time with my husband too, and traveling as much as we can. I enjoy singing in my church praise band. That's like one of my rejuvenating activities. So those are kind of the things I'm up to at the moment.
That's great. Yeah, we're in the same boat. Have kids similar ages, and
Yeah,
yeah, it's kind of weird. Sometimes they'll like repeat something back that you said. I was like, hey, that's me. Oh yes,
I said that.
he was listening. Who knew? Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, now we're geniuses. We sound amazing. When back then they were like, "That's never going to be true, mom."
Oh
Now
yeah.
it's all amazing.
But if someone else says it, like a coach or a teacher or something, oh man,
Yes.
it's gospel truth. But you say it, you don't know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah. You don't know what you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
but it
worth it.
gets
Hang
better.
in there. So you got
Right.
younger kids, hang in there. They'll
Yeah,
come around.
hang in there.
So I know people are listening. They want, hey, this Amber sounds pretty sharp. So how do people work with you? How do they follow you? How do they find more out about you?
Sure. So the website's newbeginningsfamilylaw.com. It's easy to find us there. I'm Amber Yerke James which is YERKEY on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram at A James Law. I'm on LinkedIn, both from a firm perspective and a personal perspective. So if you just put me in any of those searches, you'll find me.
That's it. Yeah. And look up what people say about her. I'm telling you, you'll find how awesome she is. Why I wanted to have her on the show. She truly cares about her clients. She puts them first. She does the best job of anybody I know. I'm just putting it out there. I know you can't say that all the legal commercials. They say that, but
Right.
I'm gonna say
Yeah,
it
I
for
can't
you.
say that. Yeah. Oh, you're very sweet, Joe.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, I've just seen you over like 20 years. Do the
Hmm.
things almost 20 years. You're doing an amazing job, and you're always consistently doing their best for your clients. That's just what you want to hear. So look her up. We'll link all that in show notes. You can click on stuff. You don't have to spell Yerke, so you don't have to spell that, right? Appreciate you coming on, Amber. Keep up the great work that what you're doing out in the world. We need more people like you.
Thank you. You too, Joe.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll do that. And if you're listening right now, please share this episode with somebody that might need to hear, hey, what Amber's story is about and how she helps people. Maybe they're going through a tough time with the family law situation. She can help you out. I promise. If nothing else, just go have a conversation with her, see how she can help you out. Check out our website, all the social media, all that. We'll see you guys next week on the Huntsville Hustle podcast.